What is going on, fellow mobile gamers? My name is NimbleThor, and today we are checking out the latest of the 3 auto chess games to release on mobile recently, the official Valve Dota Underlords. Now, if you're new to auto chess games, I'll try to run through the basics in this video, but the genre is very simple overall. You get it very quickly, and I'll spend most of my time in this video discussing what I think about this version of auto chess, instead of going on and giving a full description of the genre from A to Z. I am planning a comparison video though, that will compare all the auto chess games out there, Arena of Evolution Red Tides, Dota Underlords, and then the official auto chess game by Drodo Studios. So if you're interested in figuring out the differences between those 3 games, and then based on that make a decision about which one you want to play yourself, make sure to follow along here on the channel and stay tuned for that video. Now, as for Dota Underlords, the first thing I noticed was the horrible UI that has definitely not been made for mobile. The settings menu looks like an Android game from 2012 or 13, and the entire UI is just filled with needlessly large sliders and buttons all over the place. In addition, you actually have to log in with a Steam account. There's no login via Google Play or login via Facebook or anything like that. Again, something that shows that Valve is completely out of touch with the mobile space, sadly. And yes, I know, I get it. They're trying to offer crossplay functionality, but it's very unintuitive for a mobile gamer to have to register and log in with the Steam account. And to make it even worse, pressing the sign up button even just opens up your browser and takes you to the Steam page, instead of at least having the registration functionality built into the game. But with that rant out of the way though, let's talk about the actual game, because despite Valve's complete and utter lack of knowledge about mobile games and how to design them, the core gameplay in Dota Underlords is great fun, of course. I also do appreciate these nearly cel-shaded graphics that make the units we deploy really pop and stand out from the background. The 3 units we have on the map so far going into round 4 look great on the playing field. Now, as for what's actually going on here, auto chess games are turn-based, and on every turn we start by buying a unit from the shop. So for example, right now, which one do I want to buy? I want to go for the Drodo Ranger. I haven't used that unit before, so let's buy 2 of those. We can't really deploy them yet though, because we already have 3 units on the playing field, and our hero is only level 3, which means we can only have 3 units on the playing field. Now, once we level up to level 4, that of course changes, and our heroes gain XP whenever we win rounds, or if we decide to spend gold on buying more XP, which can be very useful, by the way. It's a very useful way of spending your gold, at least if there's nothing else in the shop that you want to buy instead. Now, we were defeated here for the first time, so now we're down to 98 HP. You can see that on the left side of the screen, and now we're going into round 5. So let's have a look at what options we have here. We can choose to buy, for example, the one on the right side, which is going to cost 2 gold. It looks pretty cool. I haven't used that one before, but I'm going to go for the Warlock instead though. I know the Warlock, I've used that one before. I know it can become somewhat strong if you can get it properly upgraded, and the way we update our units is by getting 3 of the same type of unit, then it automatically levels up. That's the same in all of the auto chess games out there. That's one of the ways that we can grow stronger. Now, the other aspect or way of growing stronger in these types of games has to do with what's called synergies. And you get more synergy whenever you place more units of the same type on the map, and each unit has 2 types. And so that's another thing to keep in mind when putting together your own mix of units. What do we want to buy now? Let's just go for the Shadow Fiend. Tiny. Oh, Tiny can actually become really strong, so let's buy that one and deploy that now. We're just going to wait a bit with the Warlock, and now let's start the next round. So far, we're doing decently okay, but I have a feeling that our team is much weaker than the opponents that we're currently facing, because we are starting to get defeated and we're losing HP very quickly. Now, as for the actual combat, once we've deployed our units on the map, they'll be fighting automatically, and we will be fighting against either monsters that can drop loot, by the way, and definitely remember to equip that loot as well once you pick it up. I forgot that the first time round. Now, in those rounds where we're not fighting other monsters, we're fighting actual other players instead, or at least we're fighting against their defensive setups. And we're fighting against a total of 7 other players in a server. Each server consists of 8 players, us and 7 others. And throughout the rounds, we then fight other players' defensive setup. So while we might be fighting player A might at the same time be fighting player B, and so on and so on. So we're not actually in real time fighting the other player, but every other player is playing on the server at the same time. We're just fighting different of the opponents at different times. I hope that makes sense. That's how these auto chess games tend to work. It's the same for all of the auto chess games out there. And while we're still on the topic of these other competing auto chess games out there, despite this Dota Underlords game seeing massive early success with hundreds of thousands of players within the first few days of launching, I can't help but feel that Underlords is actually the least developed of the free auto chess mobile games. It has the worst UI by far, it lacks a ton of features already found in the competing titles, by the way, and the matchmaking can at times be relatively slow. It was pretty quick when we started this match, but this morning when I was playing, I had to wait for a few minutes at the very least. It's not a deal breaker, of course. If you guys prefer this game over the other auto chess games out there, that's completely fine. Of course, you're just gonna wait those few minutes, but still, as a package, as a whole, it feels like this game is the least developed of the auto chess games out there. With all of that said, though, I'm very confident that we'll see lots of updates to this game, because Valve is not gonna give up without a fight, but the race has already started, though, and Valve is not leading that race at the moment. Now, as with all auto chess games, of course, the monetization in these games is just perfect. We can't buy anything that makes us stronger in the game, so there's really not a lot to say about it. It's not pay to win. It's the furthest that you can get from pay to win. In fact, it's pretty much like Fortnite and PUBG Mobile and all the other auto chess games out there. Perfect monetization, purely based on cosmetic items. Now, as you guys might have noticed, we're losing pretty bad here. We're at the end of the server. 2 people have either disconnected or been beaten already, though. I think they disconnected. But we're at the bottom, and the best player still has 95 HP, and we only have 56. So basically, it doesn't look too good for yours truly, NimbleThor here. What do we even want to spend the gold on? I guess I can just keep upgrading our character by spending gold on buying XP instead, and then hope that we'll be able to level up. But we don't have a single 2-star unit yet, which is really unfortunate, because it seems that every one of our opponents already have that, and I don't know why we haven't found enough of the same type of unit yet. I think we've just been extremely unlucky. Typically, you do at least have 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 or 4 2-star heroes at this point in the match, around round 13 or 14 or so, but we don't yet for some reason. So how about instead of spending money on upgrading, we're gonna spend money on refreshing the shop. Maybe we should have done that much earlier. And there we go, our first upgraded 2-star character. Look at this beast over here, the X guy, which now has how much? 17 DPS. Certainly better than, I think, all of the other characters on the field at the moment. Yes, certainly. I want to get more of this tiny character, though, so let's keep refreshing the shop. Let's do it once more to see if we get lucky, and just once more again. We actually got another sniper here, so I'm going to lock this selection here and just wait for the round to end, and then we're going to buy that sniper in the next round. So, are we actually beating another player? I think yes, we actually beat another player. I think that's one of the first times in this server where we've actually been able to defeat another player, which doesn't really say a whole lot, or maybe it does actually say a whole lot about our skills or our luck. Now look at that, there is our last tiny, so now that one can be upgraded as well, and we can deploy 1 more unit on the map. I want to go for the sniper. Let's take out this guy and let's get tiny in there again. Oh! I misplaced him though. The sniper is now at the front row, which is of course not a great setup. That one is gonna die so quickly if it starts getting attacked. Let's see if we can defeat Hercules here. Hercules is the player at the top of the server though, so I highly doubt that. He or she already has 1, 2, 3, 4 2-star units. And we have just 2, I think. Oh wait, 1 more? I think all of the units are 2-star, or at least close to. We did a pretty decent job here though. There's only 2 units left in his team, which actually quite surprised me. And we're not at the end of the server anymore either. So we might be doing something right. Let's just keep refreshing the shop and hope that we get more of the units that we're collecting at the moment. So far, it seems that we were out of luck in this round. We didn't get any extra of the units that we're looking for. And also, I do want to get to level 8 very soon. So I think I'm going to spend the next bunch of gold that we get on actually upgrading our hero to level 8 instead of refreshing the shop constantly. So as I continue fighting for my life, hoping not to end up at the end of this server, if you want to check out Underlords for yourselves, I've left the download links in the description box down below as always. And if you're considering playing Underlords, or if you have already played it, of course, I'd be really curious to hear what you think about it. So let's discuss that in the comment section down below. And with that said, it's now time for the mobile gaming news of the day. Because honestly, I think we're going to lose here, and I'm too embarrassed to show you. I'm too embarrassed to show you losing. There's no reason to, really. You guys probably get the idea of this game at this point. So today's mobile gaming news is early reports that indicate that Tencent's rebranded PUBG Mobile for China, called Game for Peace, could potentially earn over $1 billion this year already. The game has already generated over $150 million in revenue, and that's all within just a single month. And I gotta admit, guys, as soon as I read that, I couldn't help but laughing a little, just imagining how much revenue Tencent has actually missed out on in the months where the original PUBG Mobile game was not allowed by the Chinese government to be monetized. They must have lost hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in potential revenue. But, of course, luckily, it is Tencent. We don't have to feel sorry for them. They are, after all, the richest game studio around, so I'm sure they'll be just fine. So with that said, let's round up the video here. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, just keep gaming, stay awesome, and I'll see you guys around.